So hi, welcome to Woman at the Wheel. It is March 15th, the Ides of March 2023. It is a Wednesday, and this is my first job of the week, and I'm still in the Dodge, as you can see. And my camera is still on this beanbag mount, so it's not sitting really as stable as I would like it to be. It's kind of crappy. That's what I have to work with right now, so sorry about that. Wish it was better. It's really pissing me off because it keeps knocking itself out of whack. And I don't like it when the whole thing is tilting like this. For some odd reason, it drives me nuts. Pictures that hang crooked drive me crazy too, so it's that kind of a deal. But anyway, I'm trying to beat feet up here to Oklahoma City. I just got onto 81, heading north, and I'm going to be running at maximum warp speed today because this trailer I'm picking up in Oklahoma City has to go over to Amarillo, and I want to deliver it before they close today so I don't have to buy a motel in Amarillo. I don't want to spend the night over there. So I'm busting my ass to get up here and get this thing delivered. So that means running at, like I said, maximum warp speed, which is as fast as I can legally go. So that's the situation I'm in right now. And I'm really glad to have this job because the last 3 weeks I've been doing really well, actually, for what I've done to myself. When I cut myself out of the doubles and stacks market, pulling 2 trailers at a time or pulling big stacks of trailers, I really cut back on my opportunities for loads. So all I'm doing now is single trailers. That's it. Or I shouldn't say that's it. Or if it's like a small stack, like 2 little utility trailers or something like that. That might be what this is. I don't know. Doesn't matter. As long as it's not a big heavy load, then I'm perfectly fine with it. But I kind of thought I was going to really seriously hurt myself by not pulling the other stuff. And it has cut me back to only working a couple days a week, but I'm still grossing $1,000 a week minimum just with a couple of little jobs, 2 or 3 little jobs. Last week it was 1 job. So it's not hurting me, really. It's helping me because I've got more time at home now, and I've got things to do at home. It's not like, I'm not like an absentee renter or something at home. I still got everything to do at home. Laundry, dishes, taking care of critters, all that kind of stuff. And, I don't like leaving Bill with all of that because, he's got his own stuff to deal with. He doesn't have to do all that too. So, but obviously I'm still in the Dodge. The Ford is still in the garage. We're waiting for a part is what it is. It's not like this was a huge repair or anything. It's just still waiting on a part. Until the part gets here, we can't fix it. So, that's just how that kind of thing goes. And he thinks it's the vibration he's feeling in the drive line on it. He thinks it's from a bushing that's cratered near the tailpiece, I guess, of the transmission, or it's either the tailpiece of the transmission or the tailpiece of the transfer case. I'm not sure which. So he's ordered that bushing, and that's all we're doing is just waiting for that to come back in. Now there's other stuff he needs to do to that truck, but he's been putting off all of that until he gets the repairs done. So really there's no reason to do all the other stuff, and he can't really do a lot of the other stuff until the repairs are done because he has to be able to take it out and run it, to test it. So it's kind of that kind of a deal. It's not horrible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 30, 2, 33, 34, 30, 2, 33, 34, 30. Just calculating my time here. I'm really going to have to push it to get this thing delivered today. So I'm not stopping for anything to get up there. I'm not stopping for anything anywhere unless I need to stop for fuel. And I've got 465 miles of fuel on, so I think I should be okay going on into Amarillo. It's not that far. It's like 250 miles, I think, from Oklahoma City. Something like that. 200, might be 210, around that area. Okay, I do have to slow down in Rush Springs here because it is a speed trap. The infamous Rush Springs speed trap on Highway 81. It's true, it really is. They've always got somebody sitting down here running radar. Okay, I'm going to flip this camera around so you can see what I'm talking about. I've had enough of looking at me, haven't you? Here we go. I can get it to work here without giving me too much trouble. I'm having trouble actually seeing the display. It's very difficult to see in this, up on the dash here. Okay. All right, so this is just south of the Rush Springs intersection with the yellow flashing lights. Okay, I'll make sure I get down to speed here. Now I need to see if I've still got this store in my GPS memory. Should have, I think. Okay, I do. Yay. Good deal. So it's a good thing if I don't have to fight looking for the address. I need to look at that though, make sure that's the right one. There were two of them on that street. Okay, well that's as close as I've got. So and double check it here. Well, it's got to check and double check everything. So I got my truck put back together. I had tore the glove box out of it last week. I can't even, oh, I remember why. Because my air conditioner quit running down in Texas, down at Odessa. And I thought I could reach up in there and open one of the doors on it. And it turns out I couldn't, but then I couldn't get the thing to go back in right. I was fighting with it, and I finally decided to hell with it. I'm hot, I'm tired, I'm cranky, and I'm not going to fight with it anymore. So I just laid the glove box on the floor with everything in it. There's not all that much in it anyway, but so I laid it down on the floor. Well, I got in here today and went, oh, I need to put that back in. So I went over and just stuck it back in. It went right back in for me. It was really funny. Oh, finally, get around this guy. Okay, now we can make some time. Hopefully. So what I'm doing is I'm picking up a trailer in Oklahoma City at a trailer store, at a retailer, and I'm going to take that trailer over to Amarillo, Texas, to a store there. So it's a store-to-store transfer. I love these jobs, and I'm just hoping that I can get this done and get it delivered before they close this afternoon at 5. I don't know if that's going to happen because it's almost 1 o'clock now, but I'm like 30 minutes out from the store in Oklahoma City, And I think it's 3 hours from that store over to the store in Amarillo. If that's the case, then I should be able to make it as long as I don't have any delays or any unexpected deals, which hopefully I won't. So I've got like almost a half a tank of fuel. What I'll do is once I have the trailer on and I get out in western Oklahoma, there's a place over by Sayre I can stop and fuel up. I've probably got enough fuel to get clear to Amarillo, but just in case, it depends on what the trailer is. Some trailers make you burn a lot more fuel, some it's a little more, and so it's just kind of you have to wait and see what kind of mileage you're going to get. So I wish I had a full tank, but I don't, and I'm not going to stop before I get up there because I need to maximize my time. Once I've got that trailer on, I'm only going to have time to make one stop. It's going to have to be a get it all done in one stop kind of thing. So fuel, whatever else it turns out I need to do. Wherever I end up, I got to slow down now. This is the end of the turnpike, so everybody's got to slow down. The speed limit just dropped down to 70 in here. This guy's been dogging me from Chickasha. I guess he just flipped me off. Whatever. Oh my God. Cranky old bastard. That's funny. I think got flipped up by an old man. I'm not even sure why. I guess because he didn't want me to. Because he was back in the lane. It's not like he was coming up fast or anything. So I just came on over to get around the slow vehicle, and he didn't like that. Oh shit. Oh, that's funny. Funny. That kind of made my day, actually. Getting flipped off by an old codger. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Oh, funny. Oh, that's a hoot. Okay. That's convenient. That still cracks me up. Cranky old fart. Oh, shoot. Oh, mercy me. He's probably going to get mad at me again now. I try not to take all this driving so seriously anymore. I used to get really super mad in traffic, and I still do on occasion get pissed off. You know, if I get jammed up and just can't get through it or whatever, sometimes I get pissed. Pissy, cranky. But I've kind of learned, since I do this all the time, I've kind of learned you just kind of have to laugh about it because, because you just do. It's either laugh or be pissed off, and I'd rather laugh than be pissed off anymore. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just thinking it's kind of funny. I don't think anybody's going to get around this big double wide trailer up here much very soon. It's unfortunate. Okay, now I need to get over in this left lane, so I'm not going up I'm going across. There we go. It's far enough. That's all I need to do. I need to be in one of the left 2 lanes. Actually, this lane is better than the far left lane for me because I'm going to stay in the right lane and take the first road heading north once I get over here on 152. So 152 is a highway that runs out past the airport, and it runs over to Mustang, Oklahoma. And it's a couple of miles south of Interstate 40, but it will get me around all this other congestion BS. If I was to go right here and go up and go to I-40 that way, I've got to go back east in towards Oklahoma City to do it. I don't want to do that. Why put myself into more aggravation, you know, into more traffic? Doesn't make any sense. So MacArthur, that's no Meridian. Yeah, that's what I want. Meridian. Thought it was. So I'll just run up Meridian over to Reno and then over to my store that I'm going to. And this way, as you can see, there's very little traffic out here. This is pretty wide open. So this is what I'm talking about. Now, I will get into city traffic on Meridian, obviously. These are, you know, city streets. That's fine. I'm just not that far away. So it's 1:20. I'm running a little later than I like. I don't know if I'm going to get this done today or not. We'll see. I just have to play it by ear. If I don't, I'll just have to stay out for the night. And, you know, I did bring my stuff, so if I need to stay overnight, I've got it. I've got my overnight bag. All my stuff that I've got to have. So, it's not a huge deal. It just means that I would have to spend money on a motel, which I really don't want to do, but, you know, what do you do? Sometimes you just got to do stuff you're not crazy about doing. At least I've got coffee today. I did take the time to make a cup of coffee and get all my stuff together before I went running out the door. So. So I think I've got about another mile before I get to Reno Avenue, I think is what it is. Okay, guys, come on. Let me just drive the speed limit. coffee. No, don't skip West Reno. I'm just not going to take your route. I got my own route. Now my GPS is giving me trouble, as usual. Gives me trouble all the time, actually. I was ready to shoot it in Odessa last week. Came really close to taking it out and just putting a big old 45 slug right through the center of it. But I didn't. It survives to GPS for another day. Okay, so here's I-40. So Reno's just up past I-40 a bit. I don't know why this thing's trying to turn me this way and turn me that way and send me, it constantly does this kind of shit. It finds the most impractical route possible or wants to put me right on an interstate, which is what it's trying to do now, which doesn't help me. It does not help me to get on the interstate from here to get to this store. So I started doing something different the last couple of days, and man, it's making a lot of difference in how I feel. So I started using bioidentical progesterone cream. And any old ladies like me, if you're having trouble and you can't sleep and stuff, get some of that stuff. It really helps. It's amazing how much it helps. I never thought about it being, something that would help you sleep good, but it actually does. That guy looks rough. That, and then I started doing yoga. Not just traditional yoga, because I'm too fat and old to get down on the floor and be getting down and up like they do. Yet, anyway. I found a video of a lady who does chair yoga, and there are multiple ones out there. You just got to try and find somebody that you can stand to listen to, because some of them are just annoying and some of them are, some of them are not. So the lady I found is not annoying to me, so I can bear watching it. But Reno, here we go. Good deal. So now I'm like a couple miles away from the store here. I can just zip right on over, get this thing picked up. So I did that this morning. I did like a half an hour of chair yoga. Who knew there was such a thing? And I actually feel a lot better. So one of the things that is happening to me as I get older is I'm not as limber as I used to be. And I've never been particularly super limber to begin with. But I've noticed some things are getting harder for me to do than they were before, and it's annoying. It's kind of an aggravation. So I thought, well, if there's something I can do to regain some of this, some of my ability to bend a little better, I thought I probably ought to do it. So I kind of looked around a little bit trying to figure out what would probably benefit me, and so I found this video, and there were two videos in particular that this same lady did. One was just a stretching video, and it was in a chair. You're doing stretches in a chair. You don't have to get down and roll around on the ground. And then the other one was chair yoga, just basic beginners chair yoga. Now, as far as the religious part of yoga, I could give a crap less. I'm not interested in that. I want the benefits that doing this stuff is going to give my body, you know. And so this is the way this lady teaches it. She's not, you know, doing the whole, oh, I'm a yogi guru thing or whatever. I don't know what they do, but it's not like that. She's just, you know, very calm, doing the stretches, doing this, doing that. So it's pretty nice. I like it. I think I'm going to be able to do it, and I can do it every day. And it doesn't matter where I'm at because it's on YouTube, so I can just replay the same video. And pretty much anywhere I'm going to be, there's going to be a chair, and that's the only thing you need. You don't have to have any of the fancy yoga tools or mats or any of this stuff. So this is something I would feel comfortable doing actually in a motel room even, you know, because you're not getting down on the floor. I'm not getting down on any motel room floor, not for any reason. That's just disgusting. So yeah, but so I'm getting pretty close up here. I can't see anything behind this damn truck. It's big ass trucks, you know. I hate getting behind a truck because you can't see around it. You can't see what's coming up. And you have to stay back from them or you can't see anything. You can't, you know, they block your view entirely. So it's like, come on. I should just about be here. I should be like, you know, quarter of a mile. Okay. All right, now I know I'm here because I can see the horse trailers. The horse trailer place is where I delivered to the last time I was up here, but this other one is where I'm actually coming, so yay. Go ahead and get in here and get this thing and see if I can get it. Okay. I shall return. That's funny. He never acts like he recognizes me, but he knows the truck. So I was like, oh, Big Red's in the shop. He's like, oh no. Like, yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna get in here and turn around. He's going back to fetch whatever trailer it is I'm supposed to be hauling. We'll just have to see what we got. Gotta go back here and deal with hitches and such, so I shall return. Oh shit. Okay, we have brakes, so we are good to go. This is just a little, let me grab my mic, sorry about that. Sometimes I forget, I jump in here and think I'm all mic'd up and I'm not. This is just a little lawnmower trailer, basically, one I'd like to have for my lawnmower. It's got the ramp on the back. Nice little thing, 2-inch ball. So it probably weighs maybe, I don't know, 1,200 pounds, 900 pounds. It is not anything heavy by any means. So I'm gonna get out of here. I might get this done, who knows?
I mean, maybe things that they have been through. I have a friend that their son did suicide, and I thought they were helpful.
I'm sorry. Actually, put a child killing themselves in the same category as spouse passing.
I guess so.
I would.
And I was there when he died, and I tried to.
We have an expectation anytime we pass 50 for some things to happen, but not for our kids to kill themselves. They're different. So we went into therapy and
Okay, so I have got this thing delivered. I'm going to turn around here and show you what I just brought here. They were nice enough. This little guy right here. Little bitty trailer right there. They were nice enough to stay and wait for me because they closed here 16 minutes ago. Yeah, Joe was nice enough to wait and let me bring it on in today. So he saved me $100 on a motel, and I am just tickled plum pink. So yay. I'm so happy. This is awesome. This is more awesome than I even imagined. So I'm happy, friggin' happy, sickeningly happy. So what I need to do now is I need to go over here at Starbucks. One of the things I need to do is pee, which I came this whole way without. I didn't have time to take any breaks or anything, just to get fuel as quick as I could pump it over because I was running low. And I'm not going to run low like I did last week. That was bad. I cannot believe I got here as quick as I did. Man, I just stayed at it. I stayed steady. That's what happens if you drive the speed limit steady, you know, you can eat a lot of ground a lot quicker than you think you can, because these times on these deliveries, like on Google Earth and stuff like that, I think they count in time for stopping here and stopping there, stopping 10 minutes every hour or whatever, 5 minutes every hour, whatever. And I'm just so thankful that he let me get that thing delivered. Extremely thankful. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, Joe. This is awesome. So my trailer's delivered. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to get some coffee, get something to eat, have a little bit of a pee break, and get on home. I've just got to get up here to the Starbucks. It's a little ways up here. Oh crap, look at this exit. This ain't good. Well, Starbucks is right up here too. Everybody and their dog going to Starbucks? Might be, huh? We got to yield to the ramp. Okay, guys, go ahead. I got one coming off. There we go. All right. So I'm just gonna get in here. Oh, and this special. Huh. Okay, well, I guess it's not too bad. It's not even busy. Look at that. I'll be damned. I'm pretty freaking lucky today. I'll be right back. Wow, that wind is something else. Holy cow. Okay, so anyway, we're done working. Now we just got to get home. Which still counts as working, but it's not getting paid to work, it's just getting home. So, need to send this to the office. I'm so happy that they let me do that. It's so nice. This was a good Starbucks to stop at because they weren't busy. And the people in there seemingly liked their jobs. They were happy, so it makes it even better. Good, they aren't eggs and bacon. I'm gonna let them cool. I'm gonna put my paperwork away. I guess I should finish my paperwork before I put it away, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Just goes in here. Oh, I needed to do that too. There. I'm gonna stop in here and fuel up because this is a price I can't get. I think if I can find their diesel. Where's their diesel? They got $3.45 on diesel. Well, where is it? Aha, there it is. Aha. Aha. So I'm gonna cram as much diesel as I can get in here and then drive moderately the rest of the way home. I shall return. Okay, we are done. Put on, filled it plumb up. I'm not sure what's going on with this pump. I'll have to look at it when I get home. Either it didn't pump at all the first go round, or the printout is goofed up, but the second printout was right, so I'm not sure what to think about that. A little weird. A little funny. Let's see if I can get out of here. Evidently I can. They must have had a drive up here at one time. Okay. That was just too good a price to let pass by, actually. Way too good. I could get it for similar in Lawton if I was willing to stop in Lawton in the dark. I'm not. So this is really nice. I can just top it off with a little bit of higher price fuel when I go out on my next trip. This is awesome. It'll totally get me home. Looks like they're redoing that house, but that's a project. Doing a little house like ours was bad enough. I can't imagine doing one that big. Although I've always wanted a big farmhouse to do like that, so maybe I should be glad I didn't get what I've always wanted. Now that I think about all the work involved. Okay, so we'll go down here to Headley and cut off to the east over to whatever highway that is. I can't remember the number on it, but it'll run us on down to the intersection of Highway 62. It should be like 13 miles down here to Headley. Yeah, it is. I could go on down to Memphis, but I think going to Memphis actually adds some mileage to the trip because it kind of goes back to the west some, or well, to the south, I guess, the road does, instead of going over toward the east. So we're going to cut east at Headley anyway. I've gone that way the last couple of times. I really like that route. I like it much better than the road into Memphis. So the road into Memphis, Texas is pretty desolate, for one thing. It's a lot of stuff to be walking around carrying, dude. And but because it's going to be getting dark pretty soon, within an hour, I'd rather cut across before it gets dark instead of going down to Memphis and then cutting across when it's getting dark, because that road is full of deer and there's nothing out there but a couple of big ranches, really. So I'd rather do my cutting across earlier when I can actually see on these little roads, because all the little roads cutting over are pretty small, little 2-lane roads. So by about the time it gets dark, I should be getting into Oklahoma. Or I should be at Hollis probably. Or maybe even a little farther. I might be getting to Altus. I don't know. I'm not sure what time it gets dark. I might make it to Altus before it's plumb dark. Let's see if I can get this to tell me what time sunset is. I bet I can. love 2-lane highways like this, or 4-lane highways rather. Okay, let's see. Daylight hours. Sunset 7:40, last light 8:05. Yeah, I might make it clear to Altus. That'd be all right. So I'm going to stop and start this again. I'm like 3 hours from home if I drive 60 miles an hour, and I'm not driving 60, I'm running fast. So, and now my fuel mileage has gone up so much. For some reason, well, I got rid of the trailer, but I'm also, I don't know, I should be like having a headwind, but I'm not. So I'm not sure what's going on with the wind up here. Because in Oklahoma, it's still blowing up from the south, according to Bill. So, I don't know. But I'm getting twice the fuel mileage now that I was getting pulling that trailer from Oklahoma City to Amarillo. So, that's all good. This guy wants to give me a run for his money. I don't know. That's okay. I just want to get around him so I'm not sitting in his blind spot. I complain about people sitting in my blind spot. I do everything I can not to sit in somebody else's blind spot because it's dangerous, you know. It's just flat out dangerous. There goes a load of trailers. That probably came out of Medill. Well, Medill or one of 2 or 3 different places in Texas, maybe. I didn't really see what brand they were, so not sure. Alright, so I'm back. I'm on Highway 203, which will cut across to Highway 83, which will turn south again and take us down to Highway 62, and then we'll cut over into Oklahoma. This is the most direct route for me to get across this last 20-something miles between here and Highway 83 before it gets dark. So it's not going to be full dark for another hour. So I might be able to get almost to Altus before the sun is way down, before it gets super seriously dark. So in the meantime, I found fuel back in Clarendon, Texas for $3.49 a gallon, which the fuel that I would have bought in Lawton would have been $3.47, but I won't stop in there at night anyway. So that was kind of nice. I filled it up. So I'm not going to burn that much. I got 176 miles to go, and I'm getting like 14 miles to the gallon right now. So I'm not going to have to burn a whole bunch of it, so I can just top it off when I get my next job. So that was a lucky buy. That was really good. I'm glad I saw that and was able to get in there and get it. It's one of those places, if I'd had a trailer on, I wouldn't have been able to stop because it's just too tight. There wasn't any room to maneuver. So it worked out pretty good. In fact, this whole day has just worked out really, really well. I mean, I got a late call. I didn't really have even a minute to spare when I left the house and headed up to Oklahoma City to pick up this trailer, or that trailer. It's not this trailer anymore. I've delivered it. But I got it delivered 15 minutes after probably 10 minutes after the store closed. I actually delivered it. And the store guy was so nice. He waited for me to get it delivered before he locked the gate. And he signed off on my paperwork and everything, so we're good. So that was awesome of him, and I let him know I appreciate it because he saved me $100 in a night out away from home that I really didn't want to spend either one. I didn't want to stay at a hotel, and I didn't want to, spend $100 either one. So this is good. I should be home like by 10:30. And this is a really good loop for me to do because I can get to Amarillo and home in under 11 hours relatively easily. It's just not that far to go. So, and the speed limits are high. I have high speed limits both ways. Even in Oklahoma, the speed limits are pretty high, 70 and 75. and then it's 75 over here, so I can cover some ground. And I'm just really, really glad it worked out like it did. So I can go home. That's the whole thing about all this hauling around and stuff. I did too many motels last year. That's one of the reasons that I've limited myself down to single trailers. Because honest to God, I'm just tired of staying in motels. I mean, motels are, for the most part, they're not great. They're expensive. You know, it's kind of a bummer to have to stay in one. Some of them are, you don't even like really feel safe in necessarily. It's just, you know, it's just one of those things. It's not really what I want to be doing, but I do want to keep working. I want to get out and work, you know, 2 or 3 days a week is pretty much my target. And I know that'll go up in the summer. I'll probably run all summer long, probably run like a bad dog all summer long. But then again, maybe not, because a lot of the stuff I was doing before, I'm not doing this year. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm really, really glad that daylight savings time is here. Yay. Gives me an extra hour of daylight at the end of the day when I really need it. Like today, I got a late start, so, you know, if I had left the house at 6 this morning, it would have been a different deal, but I didn't even get the call for this till almost noon. And I was just driving along there eating and thinking about all the places I went last year and the year before, and then the difference in the places that I've actually gone this year. And I like the trend, because the trend is that I'm spending more time in the Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas region. I think this calendar year, I've been to Colorado once, Kansas 2 or 3 times, Texas a couple of times, and of course I was originating in Oklahoma. This time last year, I was all over the map, all back east, down to Florida, Tennessee, a lot of Texas, Louisiana, a lot more of the deep south stuff. In fact, I think about this time last year, I was actually in Georgia. So I delivered a nice little stock trailer out to Georgia. But it took me forever to get in there to get the thing delivered, because I had to go, just because of the route. That's the first and only time I've ever been tipped on a job. The guy tipped me $40. I was tickled. I was like, man, you just bought my coffee for the rest of the trip. Thank you. So that's been a year ago, because when I was out there in Georgia, the peach trees were blooming, and it's that time of year again. So but I kind of like this trend of staying in Arklatex in Kansas, and I wouldn't mind if that's pretty much all I did. And that may be all I do. I don't know though, because I hauled a lot of single trailers to far-flung places too, though. But the difference this year is I'm not necessarily hauling the great big heavy fancy horse trailers like I was doing last year. Kind of got burnt out on that, because some of them are just so big and heavy, and I had to take them so far, it's like I didn't really make that much money on those deliveries. Like going clear out to the Outer Banks of North Carolina with that one, that was a long trip. And they were, of course, they were in a big hurry for it too. And you know, it doesn't matter, I could only get it there when I got it there, but but also Maine. I went to Maine about probably in April or May of last year, and there was a lot of snow on the ground up there. The roads were okay. There was a lot of snow still on the ground. In fact, the farm I delivered it to had snow standing, so I had to pull it up and park it in the snow. Right after I went to Maine, then I got sent to Florida. And I decided after that I don't really like going to Maine or Florida because they're so far flung from everything else. They're very difficult to get into. And Maine in particular is very expensive to get into because of all the toll roads and the fuel prices. And then Florida is just a madhouse. There's just too many people there. But if I had to pick one of the two, I would definitely go back to Florida before I would go back to Maine. To be honest about it. Let's see, I was also in Indiana a lot, even like the winter before last, or the winter before, well, before it turned 2022 and 2021. I was in Utah, Indiana quite a bit at the horse trailer place, the fancy one. Tennessee a couple times, and down to Texas a lot, picking up those giant stacks. So I did a lot of that last year too. I was in Texas a lot doing those, and I delivered to places as far away, the stacks as far away as Pennsylvania. I picked up a stack in Pennsylvania and took it to Skeene, Texas. And I've hauled doubles out to Pennsylvania and out to Arizona and to New Mexico, to Tennessee, to Alabama, to Florida, and to Texas. So I've hauled double, in Colorado. I've hauled doubles to quite a few places. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Doubles are out. I'm tired of messing with them. So I'm hoping this year, since it's just single trailer stuff, if I get any long jobs, that's okay as long as they're not hugely giant trailers. But I mean, this truck now I have registered for 26,000 pounds. So he can't put the real heavy stuff on me that he used to put on me because I don't have a IFTA tag on this one. So I'm only legal to pull up to a 16,000 pound trailer. That's my limit. Which is all good because that keeps me out of the giant ones. That one I hauled down to Decatur a couple of weeks ago. That's the biggest horse trailer I've hauled in a long time. And it wasn't so bad because it was still heavy, but it wasn't as heavy as it will be once they do the customization to it because it was empty. It didn't have cabinetry or furniture or any of that in it. It was set up with living quarters, but they hadn't been installed yet, so that was okay. So I'd like to do more like that, more of that stuff. And I really don't want to work 7 days a week this year, so this is working. I think this is going to work out nicely. I think it's going to give me a little bit more relaxed kind of season, but still, provide pretty good income. Because if you think about it, I mean, it's true the more miles I run that are paid miles, the more money I make. But it's also true that the more miles I run, the more expenses I pay. So, there's got to be a happy medium in there somewhere. And I don't have to make the kind of money I made last year. In fact, I probably made too much last year, and the only saving grace on that was buying the Ford, because I could take that off my taxes. Because the section 179 deductions, if you buy new equipment, you can elect to take it either depreciated out over time, or you can take it in that year up to a certain dollar amount. So that's what I did with that. So that saved us on the taxes, but I'm not planning to have a big expenditure like that this year. So I really don't want to make as much money. And I know it sounds kind of funny, but I really don't want to make that much money. I don't want to have to pay a bunch of tax, is what I'm trying to say here. I mean, I want to make enough to supplement our income and, give us better quality of life, but I really don't want to pay a bunch of tax. And the best way not to pay a whole bunch of tax is not to make too much money when you're in business for yourself. Okay, so we just turned on to Highway 82, or 83, sorry, and we're getting ready to go through a little town called Wellington, Texas, and that's what you're seeing here. It kind of looks darker out there on the camera than it actually looks to me. I think it might be the camera display itself that's looking dark. It's not really that dark out yet. Man, I'm really thankful for a couple things today. I'm thankful for the job, for one thing. So I'm halfway to my weekly $1,000 gross minimum. This puts me just a little over halfway there. I'm thankful that the guy let me deliver it 10 minutes after he closed, because he didn't have to do that. So that was really super nice of him. And I'm really grateful that there was a Starbucks nearby where I could get something to eat and get a decent cup of coffee. So it all worked out really nice. I'm just in one of those kind of grateful moods, I guess. Pretty happy about it. I guess I better slow down. I could cut over through Mangum, but that's a slow way to go. Just getting to Mangum itself isn't so bad, but getting from Mangum over to Amarillo is tricky. It's not like in line with anything. The stars don't line up right, I guess I'm saying. Well, I guess I need to really slow down now. Ooh, their diesel high there, 401. 60 cents higher than what I just paid. It's kind of a neat looking little mom and pop motel. Unless I was just out of drive time, I would never stay at a motel this close to home, though. Because I'm like 2 hours away from home is all. Welcome to Wellington. Nice little town, though. I like it. It's got a nice look to it, nice feel to it. So we are just about ready to turn onto Highway 62. And this is our last turn till we get to Lawton. So we'll run 62 clear over and through Lawton on Cash Road, and then down Interstate 44 for about 2 miles or 3 miles to Highway 7. So we've got just a little bit of time left in Texas here, not much. So basically this will take us in about, I don't know, 30, 40 miles north of the Red River, if that. So we'll be coming in the west side of Oklahoma. I got a cow truck behind me. Those guys like to drive 150 miles an hour. I'm going to try not to slow him down. Alright, so right here I'm 103 miles away from my turn in Lawton. So we just entered Oklahoma. And I said all that without even taking a breath. Holy cow. So I'm 125 miles from home here. So I need to back off the speed because the speed limit here is 65, not 75. So I do not want to get myself a ticket. So I can go ahead and slow down. I will not hit another 70 mile an hour speed limit until I get clear over to Altus. And Altus is probably 40 miles from me, I think, 30 or 40, probably 30, somewhere thereabouts. Little graveyard. So I was watching YouTube the last couple of days. I've been watching this guy. It's the Boring Channel on YouTube, B-O-R-I-N-G. And look on there if you're interested in this. This guy goes around and mows places. He's a professional yardsman, basically a landscape, mower, gardener, trimmer, whatever. He does all this professionally. He's got some really nice equipment. He's got a stand-up mower, and he's got a nice zero-turn mower, and he's got all kinds of, blowers and hedgers and trimmers, and so he's got all this stuff, and he goes around for fun, basically mowing stuff for free that needs mowed, stuff that's way overgrown and terrible. And he's got a video up of mowing a graveyard, an old abandoned graveyard up here in the Texas Panhandle, probably, I don't know, 50 miles north of where I'm at right now, maybe, or 60. So he came up in here, he saw this posted up on YouTube or on Facebook. Some guy he follows on Facebook posted the location of this old cemetery the stones were all grown over with weeds and stuff. And he goes in there and he cleans it up. It takes him 2 whole days to do it, to go in and get this all cleaned up. And it was pretty awesome. So I started watching some more of his videos. I like this guy. He's got the right attitude. It's like, that's what he likes doing. He's an expert at it, and he does as much as he wants to get paid for. And then for fun, he goes and does more of the same stuff. And you can tell by watching him work that he's enjoying what he's doing. And I can really relate to that because I love mowing myself. It's kind of a zen type thing. Even when you're, kind of in a hurry, there's a certain, a rhythm you get into with it. And I've been mowing. I never really mowed much in Colorado because I never had a very big yard. I mean, I had a push mower, and I would just go out and push around, mow it. And then the last couple of years I lived there, I got rid of most of my lawn and kind of zero-scaped it because our water bill went up too high. The town water bills went up. So I thought, well, I'm not going to pay, $100, $200 a month to water this green lawn that I never get to, go out and walk on because I'm always working. So it's kind of one of those deals. But when we moved down to the lake, which is where we lived before we lived at the farm that we live at now. We've lived in 2 different places down here since like 2009 is when we bought the place at the lake. So we lived out there until 2018. And I mowed a lot at the lake. I mowed some of the neighbors' places, the older neighbors that couldn't get out and do it. I'd go mow it when they weren't looking. And we had like some druggy neighbors for a while. We ended up buying the trailer they were living in just to get rid of them because we couldn't get rid of them. But I would go over and mow. They'd give me dirty looks and stuff, but they never told me not to do it because, you know, they wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't take care of anything. And in Oklahoma, if your neighbors have stickers, you're going to have a lot of stickers. Well, they had a lot of stickers, so the only way to keep our stickers down was to mow their stickers down. So it's not like I was mowing anything pretty. It was just weeds mostly. But I really got into doing that. And then I would mow across the lake down to the quite a ways back in there. So I'd end up mowing 2 or 3 or 4 acres. And I just had a little Sears riding mower. It wasn't anything fancy. It wasn't a zero turn or anything. And it was bumpy as hell, but it was fun. So I'd go out and mow. And my dad was sitting there one time after they moved down to Oklahoma. He came in. He was sitting in the truck watching me mow. He says, "You look like you really have fun doing that." I'm like, "I do. It's really fun. I like it." He goes, "Well, it looks like you like it." So I can relate to how this guy is about it because there's just something about it that's fun. I mean, these are kind of cool machines. You have to be careful, obviously, because you're, you know, running a mower. But, you know, don't stick your foot under it. Don't flip it over, you know, stuff like that. Don't do stupid things. But it actually is a lot of fun mowing with a riding mower. So when we got to the farm, of course, then I had all the acres I could ever mow, and I don't even mow half of it. I might mow, I don't know, 2 or 3 acres up at the top and around the house and around the buildings, the outbuildings. But I don't mow a whole bunch. I mow down to the road on both sides of the driveway, but I don't mow way back in because we've got 12 acres. So I mow like maybe a 100-foot strip up the middle of the place, up the driveway, and then a big area around the house and the outbuildings. Pretty much is what I do. And that takes me all day. You know, it's a lot to mow. So, and it took me longer on the Sears mower because it's kind of slower. The zero turn is a lot faster. It moves a lot faster. So Bill traded somebody for this zero turn mower, and he got a good deal because that thing it's a mowing machine. I mean, it just mows and mows and mows and mows, and I can run it all day. And I can fill it up with fuel, fill it up with gas, and then run it from sunrise to sunset and just mow everything on the place that I can think to mow, you know. So I like doing that. We also have a tractor and a brush hog. We've only run it a couple times. I've only run the brush hog once myself. And it's been so long since I've driven tractors. I had to get a whole driving lesson out of Bill to be able to drive the tractor again. And I'd probably have to do the same thing now. Like, how do you do this thing? I can't remember. Stuff that you don't do very often, it's hard to remember, right? But man, that zero turn mower, I can cruise on it. I can cut a lot of grass on that. So I can understand why this guy enjoys it so much. What I don't understand is why I enjoy watching these videos so much, because you're basically just watching him mow. You know, he's zip, 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 zipping around mowing. Sometimes you can hear the mower, sometimes you put music over it. He goes around the edges and he gets all the stuff off of the concrete, and then he has this giant blower. He goes around and blows all the weeds, and it's just mesmerizing to me almost to watch it. So if you like that kind of thing, like I do, check out his YouTube channel. It's The Boring Channel. TheBoringChannel, just like it sounds. And you'll see him because most of his video scenes are of him out in, like, there's a bunch of weeds in a yard or whatever. So that's what I've been doing this week. I've been watching that, and then the other thing I've been doing this week is watching yoga and stretching videos, trying to find some that I like, because I decided I need to start taking care of myself better. And one of the ways I'm trying to do that is by getting a little bit more exercise, but not like cardio exercise. I'm not that worried about cardio. You know, maybe I should be more, I don't know. But to me, just running or walking for miles or whatever you want to do for cardio, that is so damn boring to me. It just about kills me just to have to do it. And I've done it, you know. There's nothing fun about it. It's not relaxing. It actually makes me tense. It tenses me up, makes me kind of resentful that I've got to go that long to get any benefit from it. It's like, what the hell? So, and I'm looking back here to see the sunset. It's not that pretty tonight. So I'm just going to keep on going. It's too many clouds back there now. So it's going to be a dud, I think. So I found a lady that does seated yoga in the chair. You don't get out of your chair. You do all this yoga stuff. And you don't have to have any extra equipment. And I thought, that's a really good place for me to start because I'm fat and I'm old and I don't need to be trying to get up and down off the floor. It'd be like a beach whale trying to get up off the floor. So yeah, I like it that it's in a chair, and I like it that I don't have to have any fancy equipment for it because I don't want to go buy a bunch of yoga stuff. I mean, I did that 25, 30 years ago. But I kind of did a little bit of yoga when I was younger. Not like going to a yoga class or anything, just a few yoga moves, stuff like that. It was enjoyable. But I never really learned that much about it, and I never really took it very seriously because I was relatively limber at the time. I was pretty young, and I was skinny. You know, I was like 130 pounds and 6 feet tall, and I could bend, you know, wherever I needed to anyway, so it wasn't an issue. It's a little different now. I mean, I'm still 6 feet tall, but I'm a lot fatter, and I'm a lot older, so now it is an issue. So I thought, I'm going to start doing that and see how it makes me feel. And I started this morning. Well, actually, I started last night and started doing this seated yoga. And of course, I instantly cramped up. My rib cage just cramped up on me. So I made it through about 5 minutes of it. I was kind of laughing about it. I was like, man, this is worse than I thought. So I went ahead and called it quits for last night, and I thought this morning, you know, I'm going to get up and do this morning and see if I can get through the whole routine. It's just like half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour. It was no big deal. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. So I did, and I kind of got the same kind of rib cramps a little bit, but not as bad, so I just kept going, and I got through the whole thing okay. There's some of the stuff I'm just not limber enough to do the way she does it. But I'm thinking if I just keep doing it, I'll limber up. You know, you have to use it or lose it. And if I don't use it, I'm going to lose what I got, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to stick with it because it was actually enjoyable. I was very relaxed. I took my blood pressure after I got done just because I felt really mellow, and I thought, man, this really feels good. My blood pressure was like 115/70. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. You know, that's right in there where it would normally be on me if I wasn't fat. So that was really an eye-opener for me. So I'm going to start doing that every day or every night, depending on where I'm at, what I've got going on. This is something I can do in a motel room because you don't have to get down on the floor. I'm not going to get down on the floor in a motel. The thought of that's just disgusting. But this is something I can do, and it doesn't matter where I'm at because it's on YouTube, so I can just pull it up on my phone and, you know, follow the steps. So, and I'm sure once I do it a few times, then I'll know the routine and I won't have to watch the video. But it's kind of nice watching the video because it's kind of hypnotic a little bit, the way she talks and stuff, and the way she's doing her stuff. It's kind of, you know, it's interesting. So I'm kind of liking that. And I used to watch some woman on PBS way back when that did the yoga. I think her name was Lola or something like that. Lola does yoga. Something of that nature. I don't know if it was Lola or not, but I used to like watching that. And it was just like, you know, I could do a few of the moves. And so this is kind of akin to that, but I'm taking it a lot more seriously now because I really need to take it seriously because, you know, you get older, your body changes, and it's not for the better for the most part. You know, it's usually for the worse. So I want to nip all this, you know, really crappy aging stuff in the bud and try and stay limber and strong. You know, that's another thing. The exercise that helps you the most, from what I gather, you know, for all intents and purposes, for making you stronger and helping you fight being fat and all that, is weight-bearing exercise. Well, yoga is a weight-bearing exercise because you're bearing the weight of your own body, you know, in a lot of the moves. So, you know, that's kind of cool. And it's not boring to me like weightlifting. I mean, I did weightlifting when I was a cop, and it was so boring. It was like, oh my God, am I ever going to get done with these reps? You know, I've got to do 3 sets of 4,000 reps, you know, whatever. That was just, to me, that was just boring. So I don't want to do that anymore. But I need to do some kind of weight-bearing stuff. So this is the next best thing, or this is actually a better thing, I think, because I'll stick with it. You know, I can already tell I'm talking about it and I'm actually interested in it, and I kind of want to do it again because I felt good when I got all stretched out this morning. So that's going to be kind of a new deal for me, is actually wanting to do some kind of exercise, because I've never been into doing any kind of exercise for any very great length of time. I've done it for various reasons. Like when I was a cop, I exercised because, you know, it's a smart idea to stay strong and limber and all that, because I was wrestling with, you know, kids half my age, stuff like that. So that was kind of a given. I had to kind of keep it up the whole time I was a cop. We stay in pretty good shape. And then when we lived at the lake, when I first started getting fat like I am now, which was about 7 years ago now, I guess, or 8, I started walking a lot. I thought, well, if I just walk, I can walk this weight off. Well, it didn't work that way. I walked, and I did build muscle mass, I guess, but I also got hungry and had to eat more, and I never lost any weight. That was my goal, was to lose weight, so I didn't reach a goal. So it kind of took the incentive out of it for me. So my incentive for this is not to lose weight or, you know, get super strong, but mostly to get limber, keep my joints and my movements, you know, smooth and not all old and creaky. And I think that this is the kind of thing that if you actually do it for very long, like a week or two, you're going to notice some marked differences in how your body's functioning. Because, you know, it's similar to back when I was doing the weightlifting for work. You know, I was eating a good high-protein diet and lifting weights, and I intentionally put on weight for that job. When I went into the police academy, I weighed 140 pounds. And going through the police academy and getting ready to go out in uniform, I intentionally put on another 20 pounds. So by the time I actually put on my first uniform, I was about, not quite 20 pounds, I was 158 pounds. And then I would put on all my uniform stuff, and my gear weighed 28 pounds. So once I was geared up in my gear and everything, you know, I was like 170, 180 pounds. So if I needed to knock somebody down, I definitely have the ability and the weight to do it with. Because you know, that was one of the jobs where my size actually came in really handy. For one thing, I'm so tall and long-legged that people didn't think they could outrun me, a lot of them. So a lot of them gave up, and I never had to chase them, which was nice because I don't run worth a shit. I'm a terrible runner. But a lot of guys would be like, oh man, you're going to catch me, I'm just going to give up. I'm like, okay, good. I didn't tell them you could outrun me if you just took off. I never caught you. But there was one guy that I actually did catch, and it was a life or death deal, so I just did it. And it was in a snowstorm on slick pavement, and he was taking off down an alley. He was all coked up, and he'd run out of the hospital, so I just ran down the alley and grabbed him and let him back into the hospital. I don't know how I caught him, except, it was an act of God, I think, because, he's a big old boy. He could have outrun me, and he could have fought me off, and he didn't. He just went back to the hospital with me docilely, and then they ended up flight for life in him out, because what had happened is we'd had contact with him earlier in the night, and he ran from me then, and one of the other guys caught him at the other end of the alley. He ran right into my partner down there, and so he ended up going to the emergency room, but on the way there he swallowed an 8-ball of Coke or something. I think it was Coke, which will basically melt your brain, I guess. It'll get you, if you have something like that in your system, that much of it, it'll spike your temperature. And I guess that's what happened to him. They ended up having to flight for life him out to Grand Junction. But he survived it. It was amazing. But he had got up and tried to run out of the hospital. And so by the grace of God, I was able to chase him down the alley and catch him and just lead him back into the hospital. And that was the end of that. So that was really kind of cool. But, that was a job where I had to have the physical ability to, be able to hold my own with these guys, too. Because I didn't want them thinking, oh, this is just some skinny woman, I can whip her ass. No, I didn't want them thinking that. I wanted them thinking, this is a big, mean-looking broad, and I don't want to get on the wrong side of her. So I bulked myself up intentionally for that. And I was in pretty good shape. The best shape I've ever been in my life, I think, actually. Because I did a lot of work to get to that point. Of course, after I ended up retiring, I never did lose that weight back off that I put on for the job, and then menopause hit and I gained more weight on top of it. So, that's not good. So I'm thinking with this yoga thing, and it's not even necessarily the yoga I'm interested in, it's the stretching and the limbering effect of the stretches and the breathing. I'll tell you, the breathing was something today that I could tell was really having an effect on my overall mood, how I felt, and on my blood pressure. I think that's what had my blood pressure down nice and to a normal range. And if I can keep going with this, it might get to the point where I don't have to take blood pressure medicine at all. So that's what I'm hoping for. So what happened is about a year and a half ago, and my sister thinks it's because of the vaccine, and she may just be right. I was trying to think of that when I actually started having trouble with it, and I think it was after I had the vaccine. So Bill, because he was fresh out of the hospital, when they came out with the first round of vaccines, he was put on the list as the first person to get it. Because of his immune compromised situation with his cancer. So we discussed it with his surgeon, his cancer doctor, and with his regular doctor, and they were all in agreement. Yeah, he needs to have this because he's immunocompromised now. He has to have this because we're afraid if he gets COVID, it's going to do him in. And they said, and you need to have it too because we don't want you bringing COVID home to him. So at that time, we didn't know anything about it. We didn't know all this stuff that we know now. If I'd known then what I know now, I don't think either one of us would have taken the vaccine because we would have known it was a bunch of bullshit to begin with. But our doctors at the time, his doctors were, they thought they were doing the right thing. And especially his family practitioner is not like a overly reactive guy. We'd go in and see him and we'd have to wear the masks into the clinic, but when we got in the room with his doctor, he's like, you can take those off. We would just, talk without the masks on and all that. So he's not like a crybaby over it or anything. He was a very reasonable kind of guy. So we kind of thought, well, you know, this is what we need to do. And at the time, that was how it was. So, you know, if I could go back and change things, yeah, I would go back and say we should have never had them. But, you know, what do? You can't undo what you did. So I'm trying to think where I was going with this. I completely lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh. So this is Duke, Oklahoma. The last town we came through was Hollis. And I cannot remember where I was going with that. Let's see, what was I talking about before? I was talking about exercise, limbering up. Oh, the blood pressure, yeah. I was talking about my blood pressure. So after we had the shots, in fact, it had to be after we had the shots because we were at Bill's regular doctor for one of his checkups. Quite a while after he had the surgery and after we had the shots. And we're sitting there in the office, and so they were taking Bill's blood pressure, and the nurse was telling us, yeah, if you're taking your blood pressure and you hold your arm up like higher, your blood pressure reads lower, and if you hold your arm down lower, your blood pressure reads higher. So they want you to have your arm at a certain level. And there's a lot more that goes into taking your blood pressure than what you would think. Everything about it can affect the outcome of measuring it. But anyway, she's telling us this, and she just checked mine, I guess, for fun. I said something about, well, what does mine look like? And it was like 160 something over 90 something. She goes, that's way too high. You need to go get that checked out. So I was like, damn. So, and I had an event like a week later. I was waiting to get into my doctor, and I had this deal where my blood pressure went really high, and I started getting this bad headache, and I thought, I'm going to have a stroke if I don't get something done. So I ended up going to the ER, and it took them a while to get their shit together. They let me sit there for over an hour instead of having somebody come in and take care of me, which I'll never go back to that hospital. And so finally they got somebody in there, and they gave me the meds to bring it back down, and then I was okay, and they sent me home. But they also sent me home with some lisinopril. So then I only had a little bit of it, so I had to go into my regular doctor. So I went to her, and she concurred, and she's like, yeah, we'll put you on this. This is what you got to do. So that's what I'm on now, is lisinopril. But you know, I didn't really put two and two together, but my sister did. She was like, you know, you didn't have this trouble till after you had the vaccine. I'm like, you know, I don't remember for sure, but you know, the more I think about it, the more she's right. So it doesn't help that I'm fat. I'm 100% sure that if I wasn't fat, even though I had the shots, that I wouldn't probably have high blood pressure. So in my mind, however it started, and it probably was after the shots, but if it's because of the shots or if it's because of the stress that I was under, because when Bill was really sick, I was stressed. I mean, I was stressed to the gills, really severely stressed, because I didn't know if he was going to live. And, you know, I was worried about him, and every day was like another, oh my God, what's going to happen today? You know, that kind of thing. So I was under a tremendous amount of stress. And we were trying to figure out how we were going to live, because he had to quit working. So, you know, I had to think about going back to work, and, you know. So we had all of that on our plate anyway. So I don't know if it was the first round of shots or not. I'm glad I never took a booster. I mean, I had the first shot, and then 2 weeks later I had the second shot, second half of the first deal. So it was a 2-shot deal for the first vaccine. I had those, but I never had the boosters, and neither has Bill. He won't take them either, and I'll never have those. I will never take another vaccine if it's some kind of bullshit like what they're telling us with this, because supposedly they're just lying to us completely. Everything they tell us about it is bullshit. And I'm not going to go off into that rabbit hole, but let's just suffice to say, I don't believe anything Fauci says, and I think the man belongs in prison because, well, you do your research on him and see what you think. Go back and look at his history, and then you can form your own conclusion on it. But I think he's an evil, evil man, an evil little man with little Banty Rooster syndrome. And I think that's part of what's driving him to make himself out to be a big shot, because he's just a little puke. That's just my opinion. So, anyway, I don't like him. I'll put it that way. Not that you could tell, right? So anyway, I'm thinking with the yoga, since it had such a calming effect on me this morning, I was really impressed with it. And I think what it is, it's the breathing. Because the whole time you're doing the yoga, you're doing this deep breathing kind of stuff, not like some weird shit, but you're just breathing, and then you inhale on this and you exhale on that. It was very, very calming. So I think that's really going to benefit me. I think that's going to be really good for me. And if I have time to do it, I'll do it twice a day. Because there are nighttime exercises you can do that will get you ready to go to sleep. And then there are the other exercises you can do in the morning to get all stretched and get ready to go do your day. And that's what I did this morning. I did the half an hour deal. So tonight, I think, even though it's going to be pretty late when I get home, I probably won't go to bed till, I don't know, midnight. That's usually when I go to bed, unless if I don't know that I have to get up early, I usually stay up late because I'm more of a night owl. But if I know I've got to get up super early and go to work, then I go to bed early. So I don't have anything on my plate tomorrow, and I'm not expecting anything. And that's another thing I'm doing. I'm kind of trying not to have any expectations about work, because I tend to stress myself out over stuff like that. So I'm trying to just kind of be like, wait and see what happens. Kind of not get excited about it. If I get a call, great. If I don't get a call, well, maybe I'll get one tomorrow. It doesn't matter. And that's been working well for me too. I'm trying to make myself less volatile and less worried and less stressed out, and just kind of simplify the way I think about things and not try to overthink things so much. That I'm a real big overthinker. I can drive myself pretty crazy overthinking stuff, but I'm trying to train myself not to do that so much. So far it's been working pretty well, and I'm kind of at a good place right now. I think I don't get mad the way I used to. Like, I don't get instantly pissed off, in traffic, or I'm learning to go with the flow a whole lot more. Of course, some things still piss me off. I mean, every once in a while, but nothing like I used to be. I was to the point a few years ago, well, probably the year my dad died. It's been, he died in 2018, so it's been a while. But that year was probably the worst year that I had. And that was when all this stuff with Bill happened. My dad died. Bill got sick. I got sick. It was just very stressful. So, but I was super volatile, and stuff would happen, and I would just fly off the wall, really pissed. I mean, just really, really, really mad. And I was spending way too much time being mad. My brother, Wes, the one that does the road videos in Colorado, at back roads of Colorado, he finally told me, he said, you got to stop this. You're going to make yourself crazy, and it's not good for you. You're going to give yourself a heart attack. You got to calm down. And I thought about it, at the time I was like, oh, whatever. But then I got thinking about it. I thought, he's right. I'm really out of control mad here. So I was mad about a lot of stuff. I was mad about a whole bunch of stuff. Didn't do me any good being mad about any of it, which was the ironic part. It's not like I could change any of it. I just had to learn to deal with it, So, but he kind of saved me from myself, I think, by pointing it out to me that I was taking this anger thing to extremes, and I needed to kind of stop, needed to knock it off before I did myself in. So since then, I've worked on it steadily. It didn't happen overnight. It took me a couple of years, I think, to just kind of break the habit of getting mad, because that's what it had turned into. It had become a habit. You know, something would happen and I'd just get mad. That was my automatic response. So it took me a while to quit doing that and to start thinking about things differently. And so that's where I'm at now. I'm thinking about things a lot differently than I was at that time. I'm not mad about everything. In fact, I'm not really mad about anything much right now. You know, some things I regret, some things I think are awful that have happened, but I'm not mad about them. I'm more sad about them than anything, you know. Sad things happen. It's part of life, and you can't be, you know, carrying around a chip on your shoulder over stuff that you have no control over either. So, which is really ridiculous. I mean, I wasn't like an angry person before. I've never been like a real angry person my whole life. I've mostly been kind of a happy-go-lucky girl. But, you know, I went through a dark place. It's a dark place. After I lost my job as a cop, I got injured and I got fired, basically, in a nutshell. There's more to the story, but it's not like I did anything wrong, but they couldn't keep me on because they needed somebody who could work, and it took me too long to heal up. So, you know, I was really angry about that for a long time. I'm kind of past being angry about it. I'm kind of like, well, you know, I get their point. Nothing I could do about it. I couldn't undo the injury. So, you know, I can't change history. So now I'm more like, well, it's sad. It makes me sad when I think about it, but I don't think about it that much anymore the way I used to. For about 5 or 6 years, or 7 or 10 years, I was really mad about it. I was just seething, you know. I felt like I'd just been treated so unjustly, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to rehash it all because it doesn't, I mean, I don't think it makes me feel any better about it to do that. But now I've kind of learned, like, you know, this is just something you've got to deal with. So it's something in my life that happened that was unpleasant. Now I've got to deal with it. And it's like, okay, all right, that's not so bad. I don't have to be mad anymore. And it's such a relief not to have to be mad anymore. I don't know why he just bright lighted me. I don't have my brights on. People and their damn lights. I get bright lighted a lot, and there's no reason for it at all. So anyway, I'm trying to retrain myself, my reflex, and I think I've done pretty well. I think I've actually done really well, because my first response now is not getting mad. There's a cat or something crossing the road up here. Get across, get across. It's a little dog or a cat. It's a cat. Go cat. So my first response now is more like, well, okay, this is a situation. I'm just going to think about it a minute. What do I think of this? You know, instead of what do I feel about it? Because how I feel about it doesn't mean shit. What do I think about it? That's what I need to be concentrating on. Because, you know, if you want to know how you feel about something that you think is wrong, you're going to be feeling bad about it, right? Or mad or whatever. So instead of focusing on that, I'm focusing on, well, what do I think about it? So this is all kind of come out of that one talk my brother had with me, you know, and pointed out to me that, you know, maybe I needed to chill. I had to stop being so angry. And he was right. He was absolutely right. I shouldn't have said that on here because now he's going to know. I don't necessarily want him to know he was right. But he knows he was right. He knows. So I'm glad he he actually talked to me about it, you know, because nobody else was talking to me about it, and everybody knew I was pissed. Pretty much everybody I had talked to for the last, 10 years knew I was pissed off all the time. But I'm glad he did, because now I don't have to live like that, and life's better, you know. I'm actually enjoying things again in a way that I hadn't been enjoying them. I mean, I didn't just hate everything all the time, but I was spending so much time being mad, and it was my knee-jerk reaction to just about everything, so it was, so anyway, it's all better now. It's way better now. Way better now. It's like when I have my breakdowns with the trucks, my first reaction is to stop and think now, instead of just going, oh crap, what am I going to do? So that was my reaction. The first few breakdowns I had, I literally pulled over on the side of the road and cried sometimes because I didn't know what to do. It was just like, I didn't know what to do. So now I'm just not that, I'm not that same girl, Live and learn. If you pay attention while you're living, sometimes you do learn, and it can improve your situation more than you know. So, the last couple of times I broke down, instead of just freaking out, I mean, I still get a little freaky over it. I'll be like calling Bill, I broke down on the side of the road, and he's like, okay, what's going on? And then I have to stop and quit reacting and think, And so I'm getting to where I'm kicking over into thinking mode a lot quicker now. And like this last breakdown, down at Seguin when the U-joints went out, it was like I knew I had a problem pulling in there, and I knew it was a problem when I left, and I knew I was going to have to go park the truck and wait for Bill to come get me. So it was like, okay, I'm good. I'm just going to sit here and drink coffee and chill. I was sitting at a little truck stop that had decent decaf coffee, and it was a location I was familiar with, so I didn't feel weird or anything. And it was just, everything was okay. I knew it was going to be okay. It was just a matter of having to sit and wait. So it's like, okay, I can do this. So I didn't even get mad. I was like, all right. I mean, I wasn't happy about the truck breaking down, but I understood that it wasn't anything personal, obviously. It was just the truck broke down, and, it's a mechanical thing, and it's going to do this. And when it does it, you don't need to, freak out. You just need to take the proper measures to not damage it any further, and then do whatever comes next on the list. So sometimes next on the list is get out my tools and fix it. And I can do that now with certain things. And sometimes what's on my list is, park it someplace safe and stay with it, and wait till Bill comes with the trailer and we'll trailer it home, which is what we had to do this time. So this is the first time we've actually had to trailer a truck home, and there was just no fixing it. It was a Friday evening when it went out. I mean, most places anymore, if you don't have your own mechanic, you're not going to get anything done anyway within a week or 2 weeks, because people are so busy. So if you're someplace where you don't have a mechanic and it's on the weekend, you're not getting anything done. So you might as well trailer it back. So that's kind of, something I know to expect now. It's not a big deal. It wasn't even a big deal to Bill. He was like, yeah, I can come get you. It's not a big deal. It was a long way he had to come to get me too. It's 6 hours down there to come get me, or 7. So, but he was willing to do it. So I'm learning, and I'm getting better at analyzing situations than just reacting to them emotionally. And this is something I was actually really good at when I was a cop. I didn't get emotionally tied up on cop business. I'm actually a pretty logical person, but it's been so long since I had to use that logic brain, because I was just kind of flailing around lost after I lost that job. But as it turns out, being logical is kind of a good thing even if you're not a cop. Who would have thought? Right? But I'm going to put on my fog lights. I got my fog lights on here pointing right down at the pavement pretty much in front of the trucks. They don't blind anybody, but they give me a lot more visibility, as you can see. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with this whole yoga exercise thing. I think it's just going to kind of build on what I've already been doing, like making myself calmer, not being so volatile, not worrying so much about feelings as just kind of thinking through things instead of reacting with feelings and all that. So I think it's going to be something I actually enjoy. And I mean, it felt good this morning. So, and I've never actually exercised and then got done exercising and said, well, man, I just kind of feel good. Never. Not when I was lifting weights, not when I was walking, not when I was running, not when I was doing any of that stuff. But with just, one yoga session, one chair yoga session, and I'm like, hey, this is all right. So I guess maybe the thing is, if you've got issues and you're trying to change them, don't give up looking for something that works for you. And think about what kind of things you do like. If you don't like lifting weights and you don't like running and you don't like biking and you don't like all the other stuff, maybe you will like something different. Maybe some kind of a martial art or yoga or, could be any number of things. Dance, some kind of other kind of getting yourself up and moving and just kind of using things so you don't lose them when you get older. Because I'll tell you, it happens, We all think we're 9 feet tall and bulletproof until something happens and we're not anymore. And then, you're like, well, crap, now what do I do? So I guess what you do is you find a way to keep going, Either give up and flop over and that's it, or you figure out some way to get yourself straightened out and then you keep going. So, that's just kind of how it is. But, all right, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. It's getting so dark, there's not any scenery for you to see any longer. So thank you for riding along with me today. I really appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe. And if you like the video, click the thumbs up button on it. Let me know, give me a little feedback. If you got a comment, leave it below. I'm not big enough yet to start ignoring comments, so if you leave a comment, I will answer you. It might take me a couple days because I might be out on the road, but I will definitely answer any comments you have. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end today's episode. Again, thank you for riding along. I appreciate having you here, and I will see you in the next episode.